Just, we all understand why it's had to happen, but when your job's taken from you, it's mentally tough, and financially as well, of course. But look, we're back and we're ready to go 110%.
There are 381 new cases of COVID-19 in Ireland and no further deaths. 31 of the 124 COVID patients in hospital are receiving intensive care this evening. Dr. Margaret Harris from the World Health Organization says we need to be cautious as the country reopens.
Even though it's great that people say you can do this, you can do that, but think yourself, if you're feeling ill, you might want to go and get your hair cut, but don't do it that day because you may have the virus and you may transmit it to your hairdresser.
A major new report is calling for Ireland to consider a return to water charges. The OECD says the country is still suffering from a lack of investment in infrastructure, causing high water losses and low drinking water quality. Water charges were scrapped here in 2017 after a public backlash. Subprime lender Provident is pulling out of the Irish market. The moneylender will no longer be issuing any loans. Financial advisor Poré Kassan says it's welcome that they're leaving.
They would have been, as I call them, quick fill loans, but taking a long time to repay, some of them weekly. I mean, they had a lot of people who would call to the door and collect it on a weekly basis. And the cost of it, the interest costs were just astronomical.
Finally, a small whale stranded along the River Thames in West London has been put down after 24 hours of being stuck. The mink was first spotted near Richmond yesterday, around 50 kilometres from the coast. After being freed from a weir, it then became trapped further upstream. Vets say it would be unlikely it would make it back to sea. And that's your news at 9:02.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. We're listening to customers so we can improve our services.
The showers will eventually die out tonight with long clear spells developing. Lowest overnight temperatures 5 to 7 degrees and light to moderate southerly breezes. Now you're up to date on News Talk.
The Football Show on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. Fake crowd noise? The Emirates never sounded so good. Gamble responsibly. See www.louis.net.
I'm prepared to do anything I can to play for my country again.
Do it then.
What about your start to the game?
It wasn't bad, was it?
Why should an honest answer be a mistake?
How can a modern day manager not have a mobile phone?
Why should he?
Hello there. So we've lots to get through later on. Brian Kerr coming your way. He was on commentary for us yesterday. Manchester United against Aston Villa. He'll give you his thoughts on United's win. Once again, down at half-time, and quality comes through in the second half. So 3-1 win there. We have Leicester starting to wobble. Liverpool starting to look at Leicester thinking, there's a chance. They lost 4-2 to Newcastle on Friday. Leeds keep on doing their thing. 3-1 winners against Spurs. That felt like a really demoralising loss for Spurs. Man City 1, Chelsea 2. We'll talk about that in a second. Liverpool beat Southampton, and Arsenal beat West Brom 3-1. Big Sam, first time ever, Big Sam got relegated. So that was the Premier League weekend that was. It's time to talk to this man. This man being Pat Nevin. Pat, I get the impression, for maybe the first time in a long time, you are talking to a bunch of people who have been out playing five-a-side or training or involved in some kind of sport, and they've hopped back in the car and they've flicked on off the ball. And I'd say this evening in particular, they're cramping up and they're gasping, but they're happy because they were back playing some sport. So it's probably a pretty happy Ireland you're talking to, a bunch of people in the car who haven't been in the car for too long. Yeah, and I'm looking at I don't know what the weather's like in Ireland just now, but it was good enough for me. Got 9 holes in earlier on this evening as well. Nice. So all that sort of stuff. It's brilliant that we've seen these little bits of release happening, and it kind of feels at the right time, but we obviously need to keep an eye on it. But there's that brilliant moment where you've sat and watched footballers, running for 90 minutes and doing it every 2 or 3 days and saying, why are they tired? And then you go and run now for the first time with a bunch of mates and you're wrecked and you remember how hard it is to play football. Yeah, a few wake-up calls this evening, I think. So, Thomas Tuchel, he's starting to quite enjoy this playing Man City lark ahead of a Champions League final. Do you think there is a psychological significance to this or no? A little. I would say a little. I don't think there's a gigantic amount. I mean, had Chelsea lost, the last couple of times that Chelsea lost to Man City, it would have been a bit of a kind of yawn. You know what's going on here. Remember the game there at the weekend. Man City had rested quite a lot of players, and kind of important ones as well. De Bruyne,
and specifically Mahrez, Foden as well. But then Chelsea rested 5. So I don't know how much you learned at the weekend, really, about the teams against each other, because when they do meet up in the Champions League final, it's not going to look like that. It's not going to be that sort of system or style from either team, I suspect. I mean, when the team was put out, I was at the Etihad, and when the team was put out in Man City, I was scratching my head thinking, what are you playing here? I have no idea what system you're playing. I was trying everything. I was going 4-2-2-2, but it was kind of, I think he's tried a couple of things, Pep, and just to see what it's like at 3 at the back, etc., against Chelsea. But I mean, Real Madrid tried that 3 at the back against Chelsea, and it didn't work for them either. But you're saying this, Chelsea won the game in 2 in a row, but had Aguero not tried what he tried, and I'm quite offended by Aguero there, because as far as I'm concerned, the worst ever penalty taken in a Man City Chelsea game was taken by me.
I know.
And I'm really fairly offended that he's kind of having a go at making the worst penalty. So I'm not having it. I don't think it was quite that bad. But the game would have been finished there and then. But what was weird was the Chelsea players just didn't look. They didn't bottle it. They didn't look fazed by Man City. And a lot of teams are fazed by Man City. A lot of them are kind of done by the possession. They weren't done by the possession. And they started doing these kind of battles all over the field, and slowly but surely they started winning them. Now, Alonso against Cancelo, Alonso ended up winning it. The one that surprised me maybe was Mendy against Reece James. In the end up, Reece James won that. And you kept on looking around thinking, wait a minute, you're kind of, there's just no lack of bottle with that Chelsea team. So whatever Tuchel's done, and his tactics have been almost exemplary. You know, since he's come in, he's probably, it's hard to see one thing he's done wrong, no matter who he changes. So will it have an effect in City? Well, I'll tell you what, they would always have taken Chelsea seriously. But now, I mean, you absolutely have to. They scarcely give goals away. The tactics have been really good. They make 5 changes and they don't look any different. Swap people around, they still look just as good. It's a very weird thing, because 2 months ago, didn't see this at all with Chelsea. Absolutely didn't see it.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, in his 25 games, 17 wins, 6 draws and just the 2 losses, he has the second, and I know it's early days, but he has the second best points per game ratio ever in the Premier League at the moment. Just conceded 9 goals in these 25 games. I would put it to you, there is a very almost visible, you can sense it, a sense of belief in him on the players' part. They are looking around at each other and they almost recognise this guy knows his craft. He is setting us up. Things he's telling us are happening. It's all working. They're almost growing in confidence. And look, I guess, and sorry, this isn't an unfair effort to dance on the managerial Chelsea grave of Frank Lampard at all. But, you know, I found watching Chelsea under Lampard, he made management look very difficult. Like, how do these parts fit together? And got Kante's out on the right-hand side, and this not quite fitting together. This is the squad is not balanced. You know, these were the things being said about Chelsea under Lampard. There's no balance here. You know, we're going to have to go to transfer market again. And then suddenly Tuchel comes in, seems to take a glance around and settles on 3-5-2 straight away, and away they go. I mean, it really is someone learning their craft and someone who's, if not quite mastered their craft, but well on top of it.
I've been watching them so closely and trying to figure out why. And it goes back to what is management. It's getting the best out of the people you are working under you. It doesn't matter what business you're in. And you look at it, and honestly, you watch. I mean, Alonso was out of the picture, right? So he's not used all the time now. But you bring him in, and he goes and wins the game, you know, against Manchester City away from home. You know, and Frank had frozen him.
And Tuchel brought Alonso in first game in charge, and I think Alonso might have scored that day as well. And
part of the reason for that is right at the start, he said, I need to get experienced players, and I'll find out what the kids can do afterwards. But he seems to learn very, very quickly, and making very, very good players better. It's something you often say about Pep. Get very good players and make them exceptional players. And I didn't think I could say it, but N'Golo Kante's far better now. And he was unbelievable before. And people aren't saying, I mean, he was the deeper midfielder this time, but he doesn't play there now. He plays as a much more attack-minded one. He was doing that sometimes with Frank, and people were going, I'm not sure about that. But watching him playing under Tuchel in that slightly more advanced position, it just looks different. So he's basically saying whatever he's saying to them, and they're utterly believing in him. And there was a moment, I was at the Real Madrid game, and there was a moment where Aspilicueta got the ball in the right wing area. I swear he looked just like Eden Hazard the way he was playing. I'm like, what are you doing? I just don't get this. So he is extraordinarily getting the best out of players. And then you watch Havertz now, and that's extraordinary. He just looks. I mean, I've just described him as a little lost boy, or quite a tall lost boy, right at the start of the season. He just didn't look at home. And now he's playing, and he's treating Real Madrid with disdain. You know, and he's going to. If he went and got English Player of the Year next season, I will not be surprised. Right. He is that good, but I didn't think he would improve and get to his abilities this quickly. But he's an astonishing player. So, but you have to get them all to do it. You know, if it was simple, they'd all do it. But the other thing is, somehow he's managed to keep them all inside. And that's tough, because you've got about 22 players there.
Yeah.
Every one of them thinks he should be starting the game. Yet they're all onside. And that's their personalities, like Shearer and all the rest. That's good personalities. But the rest of them, you know, the clever little tricks, clever things, like when you look back at it now, remember you talking to me about it, and everyone in football was talking about what he'd done with Callum Hudson-Odoi. Was it down at Southampton? Takes him off after bringing him on after 20 minutes. And I remember thinking at the time, I like that, actually. Because he wasn't doing what he's supposed to do. No bad feeling, no, you're not doing that, just you come off and learn how to do it, then you can come back on again. And he's done it.
And he started on the following Tuesday in the Champions League then.
And it's so that you understand that the manager's not got it in for you. You know, that's the feeling. So everybody knows, actually, no, if he does something, it's not personal, it's because he needs something better. So it's extraordinary. To some degree, they're so much better than some of the parts. The individuals are good and very good, but he's getting so much more out of them through it. There's one tiny wee thing I would say.
Yeah.
Remember how good Chelsea got under Conte when they went 3-4-3, and nobody knew how to handle it for a while, and that was great for a season. So he's done 3-4-1-2. And the last 2 or 3 games he's went 3-5-2. But a lot of teams aren't quite ready for it when you do it really, really well. So maybe he's getting a wee bit of a honeymoon out of that. I mean, that's devil's advocate. Maybe he's getting a bit of honeymoon out of that. But it is extraordinary to see, because you're talking, Frank was there and it was struggling, give it 2 or 3 years and bring the kids on and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. You're
now sitting saying, you're 5 games away from the best season in the history of that club.
Yeah.
By a distance. Yeah. By a distance. And it's extraordinary to think the turnaround. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is fascinating to watch it. Aguero, by the way, has apologised profusely for this penalty miss. I mean, a little bit overboard. You'd swear he missed a penalty which cost him the league. Like, it's the most inconsequential penalty miss you can think of. I'd like to apologise to my teammates, the staff, the supporters. It was a bad decision. I take full responsibility. So, look, it is what it is, I suppose. What I wanted to ask you about when it comes to City, 2 things. The first one could be a very quick question, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on it, because sometimes I wonder, am I seeing things or not? I decided a couple of weeks ago that when I watch City, I always pay attention to certain players, and I don't pay due attention to like a Bernardo Silva or a Gundogan or a Rodri. And I was just thinking a few weeks back, I need to just start watching these. Are these lads any good as well? And I watched Rodri very closely against PSG in the first leg. And then obviously he gave away the goal yesterday, got caught in possession. And it never jumped out to me before. So am I seeing things here? This guy is really slow on the ball, really slow to move it on, really slow to get it out of his feet. I would put it to you, he won't be at the club in 2 to 3 years.
Oddly enough, I think he's another one of those whose physique slightly changed. He looks more cumbersome now because I think he bulked up just a little bit. Okay. There's 1 or 2 players. Remember, John Stones bulked up a bit, and it made him a better player. And he's bulked up a wee bit. And I've noticed recently that some players are really bouncing off him, and he's playing with that. And when you get used to players bouncing off you, tackling you, you can just smoothly go away with it. But there's certain players you can't do that against. I mean, there's certain players that will just rat you, and you will get it back. Don't do that against N'Golo Kante. Don't do that against like Mason Mounts, but there's lots of players throughout the league, so don't do that because you won't get away with it. And I think it does show up a little bit when he feels he can play at that relaxed pace against the very good players, and it does become noticeable. When he's against others, when he's got time and he's got space, he looks great, and that physique has actually helped him a lot. I don't think it's made him quicker. I'd agree with you with that. But I wouldn't write him off yet. I think he's kind of pulling together a couple of different things. Because when players come to England, the vast majority of them, it takes a while. They need to understand the game, what his physical necessities are. And for some of them, it is, well, I need to bulk up a wee bit here. I need to be more physical. I need to be, that little bit more energy about me in the game. And sometimes you can overdo that. So I wouldn't write him off the same way.
Okay.
I would say check him next season with another pre-season under him. I think you'll be okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm working off a small sample size, so I mean, I'm judging him harshly. To be fair, PSG pressed like nobody's business in that game as well, so maybe it wasn't so easy in there. So Pep has kind of settled. One last one on these two. Pep has kind of settled on this rotating four of Bernardo Silva and Mahrez and De Bruyne and Foden, and it seems to be working really well. So why does that work so well, and where is Sterling in the mix here? You would have watched him, I'm sure, closely enough at the weekend.
Honestly, it was a soap opera watching Raheem Sterling the weekend. Honestly, this particular battle, talking about individual battles in the game, it was him versus Azpilicueta, and Azpilicueta won hands down. Now, considering he's so much quicker than Azpilicueta, and he should have done much better. He's a good player, Azpilicueta, and he's on his best form at the moment. But he just kept getting angrier and angrier and angrier as the game went on. And I have to back Raheem here. The referee gave him the square root of nothing. Right. It got embarrassing after a while. It was getting fouled time and again, and the referee would give the foul to every other player in the park, but wouldn't give it to him. It seemed really odd, as if it was something personal. It really jumped out at me at the game. And it kind of shouldn't really, but it really jumped out. And then he just kept on getting more frustrated and more petulant and more angry, and trying harder and not just playing his normal game. And the reason why he's trying harder, it's the classic one. Even the very best players do it. If they're not in the team, they try too hard and do things they shouldn't be doing. And he's right in that cusp. Do you know the player I remember doing this most that really upset me? It was Kevin De Bruyne at Chelsea. Honestly, he just kept on trying too hard. And I said, don't do that. Just play your game. But there's nothing, everyone wants you to try hard, don't you? Everyone wants you to put tackles in and try to do something absolutely brilliant every time you get the ball. But it's about choosing the times. But Raheem, honestly, I was surprised he lasted after half time. I mean, he got a goal, didn't he? But I was really surprised because I thought he was an absolute stick when he get sent off. He was getting that ratted. So I don't think he's in a good place at the moment because of where he is and because he knows out of 4, 5, 6, he's probably number 5 or number 6 in that group now, and he's doing the wrong things to get out of it.
Yeah.
But I utterly understand why he's trying to do it. So he's not one of them. But Mahrez back at his very, very best is brilliant to see, and he is, generally at his very best. And De Bruyne, we know about Foden. So it's kind of De Bruyne and Foden. When you get to Champions League final, they will be playing if they're fit. Yeah. They will be playing. Probably Gundogan, he'll be playing. And it's whether you can fit in the other one. And I suspect the other one will try and get in there at some point. They'll try and get Gundogan alongside Bernardo Silva as well. It's trying to fit all those players in. But if you're not playing with an out-and-out centre forward, you can stick another one of them in there because they all take it in turns. And when I've gone to see them when they've been at their best this season, there's no point in trying to guess who's centre forward because it's 5 of them and they all take it in turns and they just rotate it. And it's back to this old Dutch thing. That used to do with Ajax and all that. So it's a brilliant plan. The thing is, if anyone can sort it out and figure it out, it's Tuchel. He seems to be the one that seems to have a wee handle on those sort of things. So he's a special coach. So don't know who it's going to be. But at the moment, I'm already looking forward to the Champions League final, whether it's in Wembley or Portugal or whatever. Sounds like Portugal at the moment, but we'll find out.
Yeah. So I didn't realise, so Ajax went, I know rotation was obviously a kernel of their play, but did they go with a false 9? They would at times not have like a recognised out-and-out striker? Because the first I heard of it obviously was with Spain back when Cesc was doing it in one of the Euros 10 years ago.
I know, it's original from, you say Cruyff, but it was Cruyff's coach. So it was all the way from then, the total football thing. It was this, we used to describe it as a circular thing. So Cruyff found himself at right back or left wing. It kind of didn't matter because they all were able to play comfortable in each position and just rotate all the time. And it wasn't set, but everybody understood each other's game well enough that they could cover all the time and move and change. And that's why they called it total football.
And did they take it to this extreme whereby I look at Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne, Foden and Mahrez, and none of them is a striker? Like, I totally get if you have an out-and-out number 9 and he finds himself rotating in the mix with others, but this seems like it's another level altogether. There's actually no strike. It's not like Aguero is rotating in that 4.
No, you're right. If you've got a striker, it kind of sets it, because the others rotate around it. But if you've not got a striker, it kind of opens it up. Now, it can be a wee bit toothless if you've not got really good players who are all willing to work and go beyond the defences when it's their time to do it. And the classic one, I'm old enough to have watched Cruyff play. And I can remember as a kid, I was very young at the time, I was probably early teens, and thinking, I have no idea where you play. I just don't. I can't tell, because you want to think, oh, you're left. No, you're not left wing. You're right back. No, you're there. You're there. You're everywhere. You're 10. You're everything. And you try to get a handle on it, and it took you a while to get your mind around. Actually, you're not actually playing anywhere, are you? You're like the rest of them. Not all of them, and that was maybe the first step. And after that, it just develops and develops, and it brought to its pinnacle, obviously, with Barca and with the Spain team when they had almost perfection in that. And of course they adapted that. If that wasn't working, they could put a striker in, but that's kind of where it comes from. There's in my mind, there's a direct line. It goes from Cruyff at Ajax, and then he takes it to Barca, and they develop it, and then they've got it at Barca, and then you've got Pep, and he develops it, and it's a kind of direct line where it all comes to. It's now at Man City, and it's a version of it. It's not the same thing, because nothing stays static in football, but you can see that's what he's trying to do. It's that sort of area, and it goes all the way back to. And I think there's a lot of people. I don't know if you've read the book. Is it Sam Cooper, The Beautiful Orange?
Brilliant Orange. Yeah,
Brilliant Orange. Yeah,
read it. Yeah,
and exactly, and there's bits in that explain some of the thinking behind it, but there's it depends on the players you've got, because there's no point in trying doing that if you've not got the right to develop players for that. But at the moment, City are not far off it. They're pretty good at it, I think.
Yeah. David Winner, by the way, I just double checked. I knew it wasn't Cooper, but it was he's out of the same kind of family. Cooper could have written a book like that as well. David Winner, Brilliant Orange, well worth. If you haven't read it, it is a great book. The neurotic genius.
Here somewhere in my book.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, the neurotic genius of Dutch football. Yeah, I guess. Look, when you mentioned the Cruyff thing to Pep, I mean, it is amazing. It's not like we're talking 6 degrees of separation there. So you can see the lineage.
It's so direct because. He played under him and all that, and it's just there.
Yeah.
The similarities are too obvious to us, and if you all you need to do is talk to Pep, and he'll tell you.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. I really do feel, I really hope that whenever he hangs up his managerial boots, that Pep sits down with a documentary maker and says, you know what, this stuff from Cruyff and all, and where I took it, it really is so damn interesting. Here are all my secrets. Here it is for the world, and shares it all and gives all the thinking. It would just be an absolute joy to really get into that.
There was another book, Pep Confidential, that was done. He said, looking away at his bookcase again, try to find it, make sure you get the right.
Yeah, I never read that.
Yeah, so I mean, I've read them as as the years have gone by, and just to keep an eye on it, but. They're not going to give you everything.
No.
They can't give you everything because they're still doing it.
Yes.
And they are still developing it. And you end up that it works so well, and it's such a joy to watch half the time that I end up saying, right, okay, that's all brilliant. Now where's the errors? Where's the weakness? Where's the gap? And that's what you have to do. And one of the two of the things, and again, so take it as read. And that, by the way, all Man United fans out there, right? Because I annoyed them the other week. Take it as read that he's brilliant. Okay, Pep, as I said the other week, take it as read, I don't like the Glazers, and I don't want them to stay right. And then you say, but this is the problem. And then people say, you side with the Glazers. Twitter, man. But anyway, take it as read that Pep's brilliant. But what are his weaknesses? So he has got a slight propensity to overthink. And I've noticed in a few... And I think most people have, particularly in the latter stages of the Champions League, he kind of overthinks it, and you think, you don't need to be that clever in this occasion. You actually just need to do what your group was doing there with a tiny tweak. And I've watched them doing that a few times, and if there is a problem they've got for the Champions League final, it's if he overthinks it and starts getting Tuchel get in his head. And that is actually a wee possibility.
It's true. He's resisted the temptation thus far to pull a Leon like he did last season. So we'll see.
I've watched him do it this season, a couple of games, and then he's changed it.
Okay.
When he's got it wrong. There was one brilliant time where he put Jesus out left wing. I was at the game, and honestly, it was horrendous.
Well, I could have told him that. On Manchester United, we're going to be hearing more about this game with Brian Kerr, who's coming up with Nathan in a few minutes. But I did just want to ask you about Mason Greenwood, because he did hit a pretty significant landmark. In fairness, he has become Manchester United's highest scoring teenager in Premier League history. So he scored the second goal against Villa. That is his 16th in the English top flight. Rooney had got to 15. Now, to be fair to Rooney, he had also scored as a teenager for Everton, as people know. But it means Greenwood has hit 28 goals in all competitions for Manchester United as a teenager, which is pretty impressive. Only 2 have scored more in all competitions for Manchester United in history. Do you care to guess?
2 have scored more?
Yeah, then Greenwood's 28 in all competitions. And this is not just Premier League, just all time.
For his age?
For Man United, yeah, as a teenager.
Oh, God, that's good. You'd think it was Giggs.
No.
No. It can't be Best. So, no, go on. Throw it.
George Best.
Best. Oh,
yeah.
Why do I say it can't be Best?
I know. George Best got to 37, and the record holder, in fairness, the forgotten man in so many ways, and but for injury, Norman Whiteside.
Norman, I'm dying to get it out there before you said it, because how could I forget Norman? Because obviously he was so young when he started.
Yeah.
But you forget him because he played midfield a lot of the time, and he's scoring for those sort of positions. So now, but Greenwood, the thing about Greenwood is he is one of those absolutely brilliantly, classically natural goal scorers. When he hits the ball, almost always, there was a wee period there, he had a little wobble, but when he hits it, it's on target, it's with power, and it's in a corner. And it sounds really simple, but have a look at how many players have shots at goals and fly over.
Yeah.
He hits it on target from whatever angle. It's in a corner. Keeper has to make a save or it goes in. It sounds like simple stuff, but he's absolutely magnificent at it. And it's, he's had a little kind of dip, but when you look at him, he could be extraordinary.
Well, it's funny, and on the dip, so I hadn't realised actually. I've just kind of seen his best friend died in desperately sad circumstances in October. And you remember Solskjaer came out a while back and was talking about how he wasn't getting enough sleep and he needs to learn how to look after himself. I suspect more has gone on there behind the scenes. Based only on that, I haven't heard anything. But I'd say he's had to be managed a bit this year. Plus, Jesus, he's a 19-year-old playing for Manchester United. I mean, your head's going to spin a bit. So I'd say maybe they've had to massage him through a bit there. But the talent is frightening. Like Shearer was talking about the Cavani signing and saying, like, for him, Alan Shearer, that is, it's all about Cavani. He's going to the very, very top of the game. He's going to be up there with the very best goal scorers, I have no doubt. And he was talking, like you were, about hitting the target, the short backlift. Like, he does just score goals out of nothing.
Yeah, and they don't seem on.
Yeah.
It's that timing of hitting it. Certain strikers that hit the ball one stride or half a stride earlier than everybody else does, and I can never quite figure out how they do it, because I tried to do it myself. You either can or you can't do it. And it's a brilliant ability, because the keepers, they'll always talk about this, getting themselves set, and they don't get themselves set in the right way. So it goes by them and you think, oh, why was he not ready for that? It's because they watch your body shape, they manipulate the position, and then they're ready, and then they go down. But they've not got the body position yet, the ball's past them.
Yeah.
Because he does this. And some strikers used to tell me about, deliberately trying to go slightly wide and aim it between legs. If they get between the keepers never save between legs. The reason being they can't set for it because they have to set the other side of it. So they always tell you those little technical things, the keepers. But the ones that they hated, the things that they always hated, the ones that went through the legs, people that hit earlier than expected on a half stride, which is, I just didn't know how to do it. I just couldn't do it because I never get any power on it.
Yeah.
Greenwood could do it with power. And the other thing, which is the related thing, is the toe poke. They hate toe pokes. They can't stand toe pokes because they can't read them. And everybody slaughters toe pokes for being an unskillful thing, but they are unreadable. because there's no backlift and there's no angle and there's nothing like that. So keep us hating as well. But Greenwood seems to have that phenomenal ability to get that pure power from nowhere, from nothing, from distance.
Yeah.
And it's, as I say, it's always on target.
Yeah, no, it's really exciting. For us mere mortals, it's hard to imagine practicing short backlift. You know, like it's actually a skill you would think now you should try and teach an underage player because it's so deadly. But yeah, I don't know how you kick the ball hard doing it.
I don't know, because I had a coach once who completely deconstructed when I was about 13.
Right.
Deconstructed my whole kicking action, you know, like a sort of golfing coach. And, you know, you kind of, it takes a while, because anyone who knows if you deconstruct your golf swing, you're going to be garbage for a while while you get it right. So it's kind of a hard thing to do. You almost have to have it struck earlier. I mean, if you watch him, it's kind of funny. You watch him kick a ball, and then you watch the boy behind him, Wan-Bissaka, try to kick a ball, who you can't actually kick a ball. It's really funny. It's the ultimate opposite. But I think there are certain things, but to be fair, it's just natural. You just actually naturally can and do it, or you don't. It's very hard. I've never known anyone who's learned it, really.
Yeah, very interesting. Listen, I didn't get through everything, but we'll get to it in due course. Thanks a million.
Look forward to it.
Cheers. Pat Nevin there with us every Monday. Fulham are still 2-0 down against Burnley. They will be relegated if they lose the game this evening. Fulham, 74 minutes on the clock. God, I suddenly feel like I was harsh on Rodri there. I'm not saying he's terrible. Just struck me as slow. I hadn't really noticed it before. I should tell you as well, live commentary on Thursday. See, we were meant to have this game, you'll remember, last Sunday, but then it didn't happen. So we still get it, even though it's on Thursday. Manchester United against Liverpool, 8:15 kickoff. Nathan and Brian Kerr on Thursday. So the United-Liverpool game is live here on the show. Back in 1 sec.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. Everything would be better if Wes was back in the team. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
Show Me the Science with Professor Luke O'Neill.
A News Talk original podcast series focusing on different issues, from the serious to the silly, all explained through science. Catch up on the podcast series at newstalk.com or on the Newstalk app.
Hi guys, I'm Donald Skean. This May 21st, it's the annual Great Irish Bake for Children's Health Foundation, Crumlin and Temple Street. Change the lives of sick children by raising funds for essential life-saving equipment, plus you'll receive your very own baking kit. Invite friends, family and colleagues to join a virtual bake-off, or you can organise a baking competition at childrenshealth.ie/Great Irish Bake. Together we can bake a big difference for sick children in CHI at Crumlin and Temple Street. Register today at childrenshealth.ie/Great Irish Bake. The Great Irish Bake for Crumlin and Temple Street, proudly supported by GEM.
There's an iPhone just for you at 3. Experience amazing performance and get the new iPhone 12 mini or the iPhone 11, now for just €99. That's with all-you-can-eat data from only €45 a month. Connect today with 99% nationwide coverage on Ireland's fastest mobile network. Switch now at 3.ie. 24-month minimum term and direct debit required. Ookla analysis of speed test intelligence data. See speedtest.net/awards/3.
This is a Hertz Car Sales alert. At Hertz Car Sales, we're open and ready for business online at hertzcarsales.ie. Thousands of cars available starting from only €39 per week. All trade-ins accepted. Flexible, easy finance and nationwide delivery available. Just click, collect and enjoy. hertzcarsales.ie. T's and C's apply.
Some energy suppliers are just take. First they take your fancy with a one-time discount, then take you for granted once your contract's up, before taking you to the cleaners with massive bills. Don't take that. Take the power back with Pinergy Lifestyle. When you get your smart meter, simply choose from a range of sustainable energy plans to suit you, and take control with an app that shows you exactly how your energy is used. Take the power back. Visit pinergy.ie.
Here at Eurocycleseurobaby.com, we hope you and your family are keeping safe. We wanted to let you know we are back and fully stocked. No annoying jingles this time, just plenty of bikes. Open 7 days a week, our stores on the Long Mile Road and Airside Swords have everything you need, from commuter bikes to electric bikes, kids bikes and more. We're also fully stocked for all things baby. Check out the range and shop online at Eurocycleseurobaby.com.
Business is opening up. People are coming back to work. Smart owners are now focused on doing business, not HR. Jerome Ford here from HR Duo. We make your HR easy. senior advisors, transformational HR software, and a dedicated HR manager. We're the full-service HR solution. Talk to us at hrduo.com. Big company HR, real-world affordability.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. Ready for your next big move? The trip from the fridge to the couch. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
Welcome back. Still 2-0 Burnley at Craven Cottage. 78 minutes on the clock. Football coverage and Off the Ball is with thanks to Paddy Power. For information on responsible gambling, visit gamblingcare.ie. I mentioned Nathan and Brian were on duty yesterday for United against Villa. Needless to say, they too were struck by Mason Greenwood.
A month ago, Mason Greenwood had 1 Premier League goal to his name. He's now 5 in his last 5 Premier League matches. Still such a young player. I think he's now scored more goals as a teenager than any other Manchester United player, even more than Wayne Rooney had scored at the club. What do you make of his season so far?
Well, if you're right on those statistics, that's some achievement for a boy, given the quality of Manchester United players and the young players who've got into the team in the past. I think, like, if he's ahead of George Best, even that's something very remarkable. And Rooney, who got into the Everton team as a boy. What do I make of his season? I think he's had, as the season has gone on, it's got better for him. I think the earlier part of the season, it just wasn't quite happening for him. There was a lot of competition for the positions. He's the youngest of them in that group, when it's Anthony Martial, Rashford and himself competing for those. Like, if you put Fernandes in, Fernandes has to play. So there was 3 for 2 and you were getting shuffled around a little bit. Martial playing the central position, Daniel James doing all right as well, and then they add Cavani to it. Now, Cavani didn't get going for a long time, but I suppose he didn't take his chances initially early in the season, so he becomes a bit of an add-on player and a midweek player in the cup competitions and the Europa League. But then he hits a bit of form and you see his quality again and his ability to take chances, run with the ball. He's got stronger. I mean, we saw him in the match with Leeds a few weeks ago playing through the centre position, which is probably the position they hope that eventually he will be the centre forward. And he didn't do well that day. He was out-muscled, he was pushed off the ball a bit. And you see today he's back on the right side of the attackers. I think that's his best position currently, similar to Rashford, until he gets his physical strength. Rashford has played through the middle. He doesn't look as good in there either as he does playing off the wide right or the wide left. And you see what Cavani brings to it. He brings a presence, he brings a nous to it, he brings that movement, experience, and that movement and the overall finishing as well. So Cavani is the best one for that position at the moment. But there's a place for Greenwood without a doubt in among that forward line, but maybe not always as the starter.
There's a lot of debate about where Manchester United are right now then, and the amount of progress they've made this season, and yourself and Damien Delaney have had a good go at it over the last few weeks as well. Could you play, and maybe this gets to the heart of that debate when you're trying to pick a United team, could you play Cavani through the middle, Rashford on the left, Greenwood on the right, Fernandes just behind, and Pogba alongside one of McTominay and Fred?
Well, that's the ongoing debate. And when we're talking about it with Damien, I mean, the initial debate took off because Damien said he didn't find them entertaining. And I think we had a bit of a debate about that. I mean, I find Manchester United always entertaining because it's interesting, and there's this type of debate about the defence and how good they are. Are they making progress at all? I think the problem they have is that neither McTominay or Fred are an out-and-out holding central midfield player that you can rely on to dictate the game from that position and protect the pair of centre-backs that are most frequently played, Lindelof and Maguire, if you want your full-backs to be attacking full-backs as well. And that's the core problem. When you play Pogba there, so you're playing, if you talk about it as in terms of 2 number 6s, I don't like talking about those numbers because people may not always understand exactly what the tactical nuance is of that. But if if it's about Pogba playing beside McTominay or Fred, the problem is that he's not disciplined in that position. He wanders off, he drifts to the left, he drifts forward, and doesn't always see the immediate urgency to get back into position there. And that's the problem for Manchester United. So what Solskjaer has taken to do to make the most effective, he plays McTominay and Fred. Matic used to be in the picture, but he's less so now. And then he gets Pogba on the left-hand side, and it's either Greenwood or Rashford plays, or some combination. Maybe Cavani doesn't play so much as we saw today. And I think that will remain the situation till the end of this season. Then it's all up in the air.
And is that the key to unlocking that next step for next season?
I would think so. And obviously the option, I mean, Bali is a good option in centre-back, but he's an unreliable option because of his fitness. I always think Lindelof does all right, but then you see today, little mistakes in this game today, the lack of, I suppose, been really, ruthless in his defending on that little moment in the game today could have cost him dearly against better opposition. I mean, the reality of this season is they're going to finish second in the league and be about to win the Europa League against Villarreal, which won't be a pushover for them. But they're better. They've better quality, I would think, all around the pitch than Villarreal, who are a well-organised, disciplined team whose manager knows his way around, making it awkward for better opposition than the resources Villarreal have. And then it's about, can Manchester United push on? Will Paul Pogba stay? Will Cavani be still there? Who do they sign? What players are going to be available? Who's going to be the goalkeeper next season? De Gea, excellent the other night against Roma, will hardly want to stick around if he's the second choice for next season. Henderson looks like he's making a good fist of it at the moment, but it's again that one or two key signs. We've seen the difference that Diaz has made for Manchester City this season, and the difference Virgil van Dijk made for Liverpool 2 previous seasons. Is there someone out there that Manchester United could sign that's going to make that difference, and the player in the middle of the field that's going to make the difference that Fred and McTominay can't quite make? I think they're the key questions.
Do they need the two of them, or does one Diaz Van Dijk type figure mean that actually the defence doesn't need as much protection, so you could play a McTominay and Pogba? I
don't know the answer to that. I wouldn't claim to know the answer to that, but one player can make a sensational difference to a lot of teams. But then again, they do need to keep Cavani or get another player, because I as I've said previously, I don't think Martial, Rashford or Greenwood occupy that centre-forward position. I wouldn't even say efficiently enough. I'd say they just don't have the real presence and the wherewithal to do it in the way Manchester United need someone to do. But you could say the same thing about Chelsea or Manchester City, and they've managed to make up for that with the ability of the other players and the system they play. But in Manchester United's case, I think they need a main man centre forward to add to what they have, or else keep Edison Cavani.
Just a brief mention of Aston Villa. They shot themselves in the foot really at the start of the second half. You could tell from the reaction of his teammates how annoyed they were about what Douglas Luiz did with that foul on Paul Pogba. It was just senseless.
Yeah, given he's had a good steady season, he's played nearly every game. He's been reliable in there. The combination with him and McGinn have been very, very solid. Luiz just sits around, minds the back four. McGinn gives him a bit of help, but gets on, tries to support the front and create chances. But it was senseless stuff. I mean, he's waiting on the foul, the big man. He let him away with the first one in that Pogba was off balance after the initial tackle and got up and stayed on the ball. But then he went for another bite for it to try and win the ball, and it gave Pogba the opportunity to put his body across it, feel the leg coming in, and goes to ground. And it tore Villa apart a bit but look, it still only made it 1-1. But the flow of the game and the momentum of the game was now with Manchester United. And when they get into that mood, they're a very good side.
Were you as outraged as everybody else at Sergio Aguero's Panenka last night?
Well, I wasn't watching the match at the time. At the time, I was down watching St Patrick's Athletic and Shamrock Rovers, and I was probably a bit more outraged at the outcome of that game. Shamrock Rovers scored in the last minute, a great goal by Danny Mandrew, and it was a really good match. But when I saw it, I was surprised, but I didn't have much sympathy for Aguero, because I always think there's a bit of that which is a bit insulting and almost abusive on the goalkeepers, who are in a very difficult position facing penalty kicks, and they are trying to read the mind of the taker. They're trying to remember the information they were given during the week in relation to the opposition getting the penalty and who might take it and where they might place it, and then the taker can embarrass them by doing the Panenka and waiting on the goalkeeper move and chip it through the middle. So I don't have the sympathy for Aguero that maybe some people would have.
I'm sure there were a few Brian Kerr players during the years that tried an old Panenka.
I can't actually remember. I don't think it'd come into fashion when I was managing. We got very few penalties with the Faroes. In fact, I don't think we got a penalty with the Faroe Islands in my number of games there. So no, I don't think I've ever had to have a go with a fella.
You'll probably tell me you were in Belgrade the night the first Panenka ever happened.
I wasn't there. I mean, I heard the lads talking earlier today before we got on the air about the night of the Alan McLaughlin goal. Alan, who sadly passed away this week at such a young age, and I was in Belfast that night for that match. I heard Donald Fallon talking about it with Joe and about how few people were there, but I was there that night and sitting on my hands, not saying too much. But no, I wasn't there the night of the Panenka. But it was a moment yesterday I'm sure Aguero will regret, because I think it's going to affect his chances getting on the pitch over the remainder of the season. Seriously, I think he's probably done himself out an appearance or two before the end of the season.
The race for the top four this week is going to be a huge week, and a lot of it may be influenced by what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does, because United have Leicester on Tuesday night, Liverpool on Thursday night, West Ham are in action later today. Do you see either West Ham or Liverpool being able to break in between Chelsea and Leicester?
Well, I don't see them making the headway on Chelsea. I think Leicester have now become the team most vulnerable again, and obviously, the situation with the loss to Newcastle the other night and the injury to Johnny Evans, and also the fact that the cup final. I mean, which is the most important match for Leicester? It's an interesting debate now. What would be a great season for Leicester? Make the Champions League or win a cup? Like for Leicester to win the FA Cup. I mean, having won the Premier League a few years back was extraordinary. But this year, given the dominance of Manchester City and Chelsea, really, on the FA Cup in recent years, for Leicester to win it would be a marvellous achievement. But they as players, how would the manager feel if they won the Cup and don't make the top four this year and end up playing the Europa League again next season? He'd probably be disappointed. But at the end of the day, on his CV, if he wins the Cup, it would add to his reputation, which is really, really high at the moment, Brendan Rodgers. So the game on Tuesday night with Manchester United is a massive game for them. I would think they're under threat from Liverpool and the others, and West Ham. And what team Manchester United put out against Leicester on Tuesday night, it's going to be very interesting, and other clubs might be looking at that selection that Solskjaer goes with and say and might be prepared to have a bit of a whinge after if he doesn't put out a strong team and beat Leicester.
Football on Off the Ball
with Paddy Power. Fake crowd noise? The Emirates never sounded so good. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
Guaranteed Irish business members are working hard to support jobs, communities and help our economy recover and prosper beyond COVID and Brexit.
Peninsula's 24/7 HR and health and safety advice has helped Irish businesses overcome recent challenges like managing remote workers and implementing workplace health and safety protocols. Their new software, VacTrack, lets you record employee vaccinations so everyone can get back to business safely. For a free consultation, visit peninsula-ie.com. Let's start our recovery with guaranteedirish.ie. Altogether better.
What do you hear? What are the sounds that add richness, texture and meaning to your life? Your hearing anchors you to the world around you. Protect your hearing Start with a complimentary hearing test with one of our expert audiologists. Visit hiddenhearing.ie. Your hearing is our expertise.
Drive into your future with Audi's range of attractive finance offers on models such as the Audi A6 Saloon, the fully electric Audi e-tron, or the plug-in hybrid Audi A3. Power your Audi your way with petrol, diesel, hybrid and fully electric vehicles available. Contact your local authorised Audi dealer today to arrange an appointment or to find out more. Future is an attitude. Future is an Audi.
Connect more with Air Mobile. Experience the speed of Ireland's largest 5G network. With the free Samsung Galaxy A52 5G on our €29.99 a month, no limits data mobile plan. For more on this amazing offer, call 1800 500 300 or visit air.ie today. Air. Let's make possible. €29.99 applies to existing Air broadband customers. Available on selected plans. 5G network coverage subject to availability. For terms, see air.ie.
When it comes to your health and well-being, we believe you've waited long enough. Our Leia Health and Wellbeing clinics provide urgent care for minor illnesses and injuries within an hour of arrival. 365 days a year. We don't just want to help you get well, we want to keep you that way. That's why our clinics also provide cardiac screening and consultations with a health coach. Just another way Leia Healthcare looks after its members. Leia Healthcare, looking after you always. Urgent care available to all aged 12 months and over. Wellbeing benefits available to Leia Healthcare members.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. Champions League nights on Off the Ball. Bigger than Zlatan's Eco. Gamble responsibly. Gamblingcare.ie.
Welcome back. I was just on the Guardian website there. I see Donald McRae is sitting down with Alex Ferguson for an interview. It looks pretty decent. I see, though, he will not talk about the Glazers in the interview, but he's talking about his illness of late, and looks like it's pretty good if you want to check that out on the Guardian website. The latest episode, closer to home, in our Up Close and Personal series. This is where we get sports stars to interview each other, to grill each other. It's available to watch now on YouTube. This one features best friends, actually. Irish international footballer Louise Quinn and former Irish rugby international Jenny Murphy. Here's a little taster for you.
Is there certain players that have impacted you the most?
Yeah, so there would definitely be Annika, or Bev as she was in Sweden. So she was just like the ultimate professional. She was the one who got me in shape. She gave me a training program. She gave me an eating program. She kind of basically taught me how to kind of be a professional. And she was just my teammate. And then thankfully she was also a physio. So any little things that were going on, sometimes you go in, get her to give the hammies a little rub or just do whatever, off business. But she literally was just kind of like your mother, your sister and your best friend, wrapped into one. And she was just a demon on the pitch as well. She actually wanted to apply for Gladiator in Sweden at one stage. She was, I don't know what her nickname would be in it, but she was just the prime professional. Really taught me so many things. And then playing with Kim Little in Arsenal again, she's very, very quiet, but then when it comes on the pitch, she is this red mist comes over, and she's just she defends for the team, she attacks, she scores goals. Maybe things aren't going right, just give her the ball, she'll make something happen. And then I'll give you your little shout out as well. You've been through some of the tough times as well. You've had a couple of injuries. I think when you came back, first of all, from your long-term back injury, and then you did the ACL, but just how you've been able to overcome that, and also kind of get on with life and do everything that is just that's special. And it shows maybe if I am having a bit of a crap time, not understanding Swedish or Italian, or feeling annoyed, or that I had a bad game, at least then I would call you straight away, and you'd be in your knee brace and you'd just give me the best advice ever. And then so those little moments.
Louise Quinn there talking to Jenny Murphy. So that's the latest episode of Up Close and Personal, and it's with thanks to Gillette. We don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters. And if you go on to youtube.com/offtheball, you can watch the other episodes in the series, including Kerry's Louise Galvin and Donegal Walsh. We also had Jason McAteer and Mark Lawrenson and a few others besides. So they're all waiting for you on our social channels. That's pretty much us done. So Fulham relegated officially at Craven Cottage this evening. They were beaten by Burnley. Tomorrow, of course, well, there is Manchester United against Leicester. A couple of games on tomorrow. I know Southampton Crystal Palace is as well. Wednesday, Chelsea play Arsenal. And then, of course, Thursday, and we have live commentary here, Manchester United against Liverpool. So lots of football this week as the season draws to a close. In the meantime, though, tomorrow morning, Mick Bowen, Dublin football boss, will join the lads tomorrow morning. The Kildare hurling manager as well, David Herity, will be on, and Conor McKeown of the Independent GA journalist with the lads as well. Tomorrow evening, so we will keep you updated on Leicester, Manchester United, but we have special shows across our social channels tomorrow. Paddy Power special with the Crappy Quiz, the Paddy Power half hour. Richard Dunn and David Myler will be previewing the midweek games, which I've just mentioned. And then we've an in-depth interview with Tony Pulis, which I have to say I'm really looking forward to. We did one a while back for one of the last specials with Danny Murphy, and it was really good. So I think Tony Pulis could be amazingly interesting. I know he's obsessed with Napoleon, amongst other things. So there's more than meets the eye with Tony Pulis. So that's tomorrow. It'll be live on our social channels between 2 and 5. And then, of course, we'll play you all the best stuff from it tomorrow night in the show. So that is the story here in Off the Ball. As ever, all our content on the app, OTB SPORTS in your app store is where you'll get us for free. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Tom Dunn on the way next. Good luck.